Vicky Marie, ils sont drôles, ils sont bold. Your YouTube world is the purest gold. With every video, fresh and new, you light my days with joy so true. Oh, Vicky Marie, your voice, your charm, your spark, your flair, keep me glued beyond compare. From laughs to lessons, all you share. No other channel shines so rare. The comments buzz, your fans agree. We're all here for your energy. A loyal crowd, you're ahead of the game. So here's my thanks from me to you for all the fun and wisdom too. Keep creating, stay the same. Vicky Marie, you've won the game.
Going. Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and in true Vicky Marie Chats fashion, just as I'm about to start the live, the tree comes crashing down because the dog's knocked it over. So the dog's sick. So hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So literally, I was just sort of enjoying the intro there, and yeah. Now the dog sat on the tree, so let's see. Get a dog, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Oh dear, oh dear. Now then, and I've got to untangle it all. Just talk amongst yourselves a minute while I get my lights back up. To be fair, it's not her fault. They're not really that secure. There you go. There you go. Tree's up. Oh God, I'm tangled up in it now in the cable. There you go. Listen. As soon as I know I'm going to start a live, things happen. It's weird. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's like a zen that goes out or something. Anyway, so hope you've all had a good Christmas. If you're watching this while it is live, I will be dividing this video up later because I'm going to talk about two cases today. I'm going to talk about the latest in the Anna Kepner case. The poor girl that was found deceased on the cruise ship a couple of months ago. Still nobody. I mean, I do think this is a little bit of depressing that nobody so far still in this case has had the old handcuffs on. You know, nobody's been arrested. It's still being investigated. You know, it's frustrating, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to tell you the latest over the Christmas period, in that I haven't had much time to keep up with true crime. And we've got New Year, of course, coming up. And then we've got the Three Kings, don't forget, here in Spain. So long way to go yet with celebrations, and not over here until the 7th of January. Oh my God, that feels like a long way off now. So yeah, I wanted to. So the other case that I'm going to talk about is the Melodee Buzzard case, who was a little 9-year-old girl, beautiful girl, killed by her own mother. Well, was she? Because she's pled not guilty. Not guilty, despite all the overwhelming evidence against her. And the other thing that we're going to look at is, why do not only mothers but fathers, why commit filicide? Murdering a child is filicide. It doesn't have to be a child, but a child, if you like, your child. And it's very, very rare for mothers to do it. You know, sorry, men, but it is normally men who do it. But of course, when a woman does it, it is even more. It's that double deviance, isn't it? We don't expect fathers to do it, to be honest, but especially we don't expect mothers to do it. So when a mother does it, it is that double deviance feeling. It's like, not only it's a murder, which is deviant in itself, murder of a child, which is deviant, but it's the murder of a child by its own mother is very rare, fortunately. And we're going to have a look at the reasons why psychologists say that people commit filicide, and why we think in this particular case, why did Ashlee murder her beautiful daughter? Allegedly, of course, she's pled not guilty. It's got to come to a case, a court case, etc. So maybe we are, or I am, jumping the gun a little bit, pardon the pun, because of course she shot her in the head, execution style, allegedly. So we're going to look at that. We're going to start off talking about Anna and the latest text messages that have been revealed that went between Anna's stepmom and her ex-husband, the father of the boy, 16-year-old boy, who allegedly killed Anna, but he's not in handcuffs yet. He has not been arrested. So, you know, it's a very strange thing. That's what we're going to talk about. But first of all, I just want to say thank you, as always, to everybody. Thank you so much for watching, especially as we're coming up to the end of the year here. Thank you for all your support this year. Maybe you've been watching my channel for a while. Maybe you're just coming to it. Thank you so much for supporting me in whichever way you support me, whether it's by watching, by liking, by subscribing. And a very special thank you, as always, to my members. There's some new members emojis there for New Year. I've taken off the Christmas ones now, and I've put up the champagne. Let's just put them back up again just to show you, in case you didn't notice them coming in. That's a champagne bottle. That does say Happy New Year. It's hard that I might change that one, because it's with the emojis, I've not got much space to work with. Those are the Three Kings. I think you can make out the Three Kings. So, yeah, I may change that Happy New Year one and do maybe fireworks or something that's easier to see, because the emoji, what's the word I'm looking for? The emoji sort of space that you've got to work with is very small, so it has to stand out. Okay, so yeah, thank you, special thank you to my members. Now I didn't do a members live, which is normally on a Thursday this week, because it was Christmas Day. Next week will be New Year's Day, so they won't, but I did do a special members video. I did do a members live actually, but it was an impromptu one at a time when people wouldn't have been expecting it. So that is there on the members for you to watch if you missed it. We just had a chinwag, really, you know, usual waffle. that sometimes we do on the members, and just talked about Christmas, and you know, it was a bit of this, a bit of waffle that we like doing, don't we? Especially in the members when we can chat more sort of personally. What else? Oh yeah, thank you for everyone who's bought me a Ko-fi, who sent me a super sticker. Thank you to everyone who's PayPal me, sent me an email. Thank you for your nominations for Twonk of the Year. I've had a lot of nominations, and one name is definitely standing out. I won't spoil the surprise. So there's quite a few different nominations, different people, but to be honest, there's definitely one person is standing out more than others. Anyway, so I'm going to do like a Hall of Fame. So on New Year's Eve, we do the Twonk of the Year. If you've got a nomination, send it to my email, which actually I'll put in the chat. So it could be anyone. Don't worry whether I agree with you or not. Anyone who is nominated, I will mention and talk about. And but you need to give your reasons. So I need your reasons for why you're nominating. Sorry, that should be Vicky Marie, chats. Gosh, that's what happens when you try and multitask. Vicky Marie chats. Yeah, sometimes more haste, less speed, isn't it? Yeah, so send your nominations there. They're totally confidential. I won't be mentioning the names of anyone who actually nominate, you know, the actual people who nominated someone. I'll just be reading out the nomination, their reasons for nominating, but I won't be giving anyone's name out. So it's completely confidential in that sense. So don't worry that, you know, you don't want people to know who you've nominated for a Twonk of the Year. It doesn't matter. It won't be. Your name will not be mentioned. Let me put the Twonk emoji up. Yeah, and we may have a poll at the end to see who wins, or, well, I say wins, or maybe it'll just be a question of who got the most nominations, that I will call the Twonk, or Twonkess, of course, of the year. Yeah, it'll be like a Hall of Fame, or a Hall of Infame. Because yeah, there's definitely, you know, there's been so many this year. There's not only who you're nominating, I've got a few nominations of my own as well. So yeah, it's been a twonky year, hasn't it? I suppose every year is really, but it just seemed to have been a lot this year. But I do feel that we've seen a lot of justice this year. Okay, just want to say hello to my Spanish and English channel as well. Anybody who's watching on there, I quite often forget to do that, which is because I stream to both my channels. And as I say, and I've said many times, one day I'll get around to putting them together or splitting off the Spanish and English. So it's strange because a lot of people obviously are subscribers on there because they joined it to learn Spanish or English. And now I put a lot of the crime, I put all the crime, practically, not all, the crime videos on them, and people seem to like that as well. You know, I don't think the YouTube algorithm likes it because I get confused as to whether I'm a crime channel or a Spanish channel or what I am. I'm confused to what I am, so I'm not surprised. So I don't know whether to put them all both into one and then, you know, split off for the Spanish and English again to a different channel. Don't know. I talk about it in my head all the time and I never get around to doing it, like many things. Because do you know what? I don't know about you, but before I know it, the day's over. You know, my days are full and I'm grateful to that. Thank you, God. I am so grateful for that because, you know, I could be just sort of sitting and thinking, oh, God, what am I going to do with my day? I never, ever feel like that. I just think, oh, my God, where's that day gone? That's how my life is. So I do literally every day thank God for that. not everything I do in my day is fun, you know, like the washing up and the cleaning and things like that. But, you know, having 3 dogs and an adult, you know, a man, if you like, a number one son in the house, it's a constant cleaning challenge. So it's just, you've got to keep on top of it, haven't you? So it's good, keeps me active. Which reminds me, talking of waffle, it's still freezing here in Spain. It is 11 degrees now, but this morning it was 4 or 5 degrees. It's rained constantly all over Christmas. It's more rain forecast today. So for those of you who don't know, I'm based in Spain, in Europe, which is renowned as being sunny Spain. Not this year, it hasn't been over Christmas. I do feel sorry for people who have saved up their pennies to go on holiday to Spain for Christmas to get a bit of sun, you know, and they've come to, because they won't have seen hardly any sun, maybe a little bit. It has been a very wet, miserable Christmas. Now, I don't mind that because I live here. I know it's going to get sunny sooner or later. And it's quite nice for it to be cold at Christmas, because it should be cold at Christmas, isn't it? It doesn't feel right to me for it to be hot at Christmas. You know, a lot of people go to the beach on Christmas Day. That's not for me. That's not something you do at Christmas. You can go to the beach the rest of the year if you live here. But I suppose if you're here on holiday or whatever, it's a novelty to go to the beach at Christmas. But not this year. Not this year. It was all washed out. So anyway, that's just the way it's been. You can't control the weather, can you? You cannot can't control the weather, can you? You know, I don't even look at the weather forecast anymore. It's just like, let's see what happens. It's very irritating, though. It's virtually impossible to get your clothes dry because, you know, I've got clothes all around the house, you know, because you can't put them outside because you just never know when it's going to rain. Whereas in the summer, you know, you get spoilt because they're dry so quickly. I can't believe I'm talking about drying clothes, but it does make a difference, isn't it? If you can hang something up in the morning and then a few hours later it's dry. Not at the moment. So the radiators are on. Trying to get the clothes dry is a challenge. Anyway, good job I haven't worn lots of clothes. Not that, because I've been wearing pajamas. You know, you don't have to get dressed up and go out over Christmas, do you? Well, I certainly don't. You know, to me, Christmas is about lounging around in your PJs and, you know, not getting necessarily dressed up. Though I think next year I might go out, even if it's just for a drink in the morning or go somewhere just so that I get dressed up, because I meant to this year. I woke up thinking, right, I'm going to put my makeup on, I'm going to get dressed up, it's Christmas. No, because then I started preparing food and, you know, doing stuff, cooking and that. And before I knew it, I thought, it's too late now to get dressed up. So, yeah, quite funny. So I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of my Christmas, apart from cooking, cleaning, washing up, watching Stranger Things with number one son. We're really enjoying it. So we've been through 2 series. First series is brilliant. Second series started off badly but finished really well, and we'll be starting the 3rd series. So yeah, looking forward to that. So that's been my Christmas viewing. I have not watched one Christmas TV special, nothing. I haven't had the TV on except to put Netflix on it. So no wonder the TV companies are struggling, because I don't think I'm the only one. Now, I'm over here in Spain, but luckily for me, my television provider somehow has some sort of, I don't know, license with, I can get all the UK channels, and that's great. And I don't have to pay a license fee. But, you know, really for what I watch, there are some things that I like to watch on the TV, but not many things. So, and if I had to buy a TV license to watch them, I definitely wouldn't bother, because there's not enough good things to make it worth that money, in my opinion. They've got to try and do something with that. Anyway, apparently streaming, BBC iPlayer, ITV streaming and that are doing quite well. So they've just got to come into this age that we live in. People like to stream. It's like when we were watching Stranger Things. Sometimes, like, you know, when it was like a slow episode, or it's just thinking, oh my God, if you had to wait a week for the next episode and then it was that load of boring rubbish, you'd be a bit annoyed, and then you had to wait a week for the next episode. You know, streaming is definitely the way forward. People don't want to wait a week now, do they, to see what's happening? But anyway. Okay, so I think I've finished waffling now. I don't think I've got anything else to waffle about. Have a little drinky poo. So I'm on the lemon. No, for some reason it says American lemon. What's the difference between American lemon and English lemon then, I wonder? Says it's got 6% juice in it. Whether that makes it American lemon. You might notice it's Spa. We have got a Spa here. Have got Spa. Are we ready? Okay, so hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, replay crew. Thank you for watching. And now I'm going to come in the chat and see who's brave enough to put their head above the parapet and come into the chat. Let's have a look. Gosh. Hi, David. Hi, Bluebell. My colour is coming back. Oh, yeah. I'll be blonde in about a week again. No, colour just doesn't hold on my hair. Hi, Julie. Oh, churros. Julie's cooking churros and heating up some chocolate for dipping them in. Lovely. That is lovely, churros and chocolate. But I find the Spanish chocolate's a bit too sweet, isn't it? Like really, really sweet. But I love the churros. I like them just with some sugar on or something. Absolutely gorgeous. In fact, you made me hungry now. Hi, Bluebell. I might have already said hello to you. Heather, good morning, Heather. How are you? Hope you had a nice Christmas. Hi, Tracy. Oh, yeah, lots of waffle. Rogues Gallery, that's a good idea, David. Right, yeah, twonkess. Could be twonkess or twonkettes, couldn't it? Twonks and twonkesses. Of course, in this day and age, like they don't have actors and actresses now. We have everyone's an actor. But I like the distinction of twonk and twonkette or twonkess. Ah, dear. Yeah, don't give me any spoiler. Do you know the problem with catching up with Stranger Things right from, series 1, and now there's a new series out, isn't there? So every now and again on Twitter or Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, he'll give you a spoiler about the latest series, which is really annoying. Yeah, I like to binge watch as well, Bluebell. Yeah, Waynetta. Oh, Harry Enfield, he was very funny, wasn't he? Do you think he'd be allowed now, in this PC world that we live in? Was he horrible about? I don't think he was racist, was he? I don't know. I don't know. Probably was, in some things that he said. I don't know. I never found him. Hi, Francis. You're drinking red wine. Good for you. Good for you. I don't know where you are because I don't know what time it is wherever you are in the world. But you know what? A friend of mine always says it's always 6 o'clock in the evening somewhere. So, it doesn't matter, especially over the holiday period. If you fancy a red wine, have a red wine, whatever time of day it is, isn't it? So, okay. Harry Enfield Bluebell? Harry Enfield in cahoots with the politicians? Oh, goodness. Do you know, I don't think it's a good idea for comedians to be political, personally, unless they are a satirical comedian, you know, because they should take the mickey out of all the politicians, shouldn't they? They shouldn't just focus on one, you know, one group of politicians. That's why I like sort of Have I Got News for You and things like that, because they don't, you know, they don't hold back on any politics, you know, they don't have a leaning, do they? I don't think they do anyway, but right, I'm digressing. So first of all, so we're going to talk first of all about this girl. Poor girl. So, you know, at the end of the day, we've been lucky enough to see this Christmas one way or another. I know not everybody will have enjoyed Christmas for various reasons. Maybe it's put a financial strain on you. Maybe you had no relatives to spend it with, or maybe you had to spend it with relatives that you don't even like. Maybe you've got health issues. Maybe you live with pain every day. Maybe you're facing a terrifying diagnosis of the big C, or, you know, anything as significant as that. You know, a lot of people won't have enjoyed Christmas. Maybe it's your first Christmas after a bereavement, or a relationship breakdown, or you lost a pet, or, you know, there's very many reasons why a lot of people don't enjoy Christmas. I've had those awful Christmases many times in my life, but I've got to say this Christmas, I really enjoyed it. Not because it was anything, you know, to me, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It's just about sort of thinking about how lucky you are, really, eating some nice food, drinking some nice drink. You know, it doesn't have to be some sort of mind-blowing experience. To me, Christmas is not like that. In fact, nothing's like that to me anymore. I like a quiet life nowadays. But I think even when I was younger, I would always go out Christmas Eve with my friends and that. But Christmas Day was always a day that I didn't get, you know, who goes out on Christmas Day? But, you know, so it is a day to sort of chill out, isn't it, normally, and cook. God, I did not stop cooking from the minute I woke up. I've just finished off the last of the tiramisu. I made that tiramisu on Christmas Day. How long ago? Because we're in that no man's land where you forget. So that was 3 days ago. And I just ate the last piece this morning for breakfast. That's nice, isn't it? Tiramisu for breakfast. But otherwise, if I didn't eat it for breakfast, one thing I've noticed this year is I can't eat all that food all at once. So if I had, like, later when I have my lunch, I never eat a pudding. I literally never eat a pudding, or if I do, it might be a yogurt or something. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I don't eat. I like eating, but puddings, sweets are not my big thing. So anyway, so if I don't eat it for breakfast, I just won't eat it. Anyway, there was one piece left this morning when I got up, and so I had that. So the tiramisu's gone till the next time. I will make it again, probably for Easter or something. So sorry, I've started waffling again. My God, I can't stop waffling, can I? So I'm not going to waffle now, because now I'm going to talk about this young girl, Anna Kepner. So she was someone who did not get to see Christmas, was she? She was on this cruise. This was a picture of her on the very cruise that she got on but never got off, or at least not alive. 18-year-old girl. A girl who had a big future in front of her. She was hoping to go into the armed forces, become a K9 officer. She was a cheerleader. Everyone, apart from her family, who don't seem to say anything really about Anna, about how fantastic she was, more about how fantastic the person who most likely killed her is, and now that he needs protecting. But nobody protected Anna. I think this is a very sad case, that she just wasn't. Anna was probably this is how it feels to me, and I didn't know Anna, so I shouldn't sort of, you know, I can't say for sure, but just this feeling that I get is that she was probably a very responsible, girl, and I'm sure I mean, at the end of the day, she's a teenager. She won't have been without problems one way or another, as all teenagers are. But maybe she was just like the sensible one in the family. And as I've said before, seems to me she was like in the Addams family, where you've got the one reasonable one that all the others think is weird, because, you know, her father, her biological father, he is, you know, a man with a penchant for young girls. He married the babysitter, Anna's babysitter. You know, his ex-wife, Anna's biological mum, said he had 26 affairs, at least 26 affairs, at least 3 of which were with underage girls, one of which was Anna's babysitter, who he eventually married. That was his second wife. He's not with her anymore. He's now with Shona, is her name? Shona. We'll have a look in a minute. And it's her son who was sharing the room with Anna, 16 years old, and allegedly put Anna in a chokehold for some reason, maybe roughhousing about, maybe he didn't mean to kill Anna. This is my personal feeling, that he perhaps didn't mean to kill her, went too far for whatever reason, and well, Anna was deceased. And the thing is, I don't know what if even when he is ever arrested, what defense is he going to claim? I mean, he's a minor. This is what makes it all very sort of difficult. He's only 16 years old. The only reason we're getting to know anything at all about this case is because he's going through, or his mum and dad are going through custody battles at the moment for him and his sister. So what's happening in family court is being reported, isn't it, in the media? But really, if that wasn't going on, I don't think we'd know anything about this case at all, because the FBI are dealing with it, aren't they? They're keeping complete stum. All we know is nobody's been arrested yet. This boy has been moved to another household. Gosh, you know, and when you think about it, as soon as this happened, his biological father put in like a claim to try and get his daughter out of the house where this boy was living, because this boy has reputedly murdered Anna. So he's not going to want his daughter living there as well. But she is still living there. But it's a very confusing situation, isn't it? But the stepbrother, the 16-year-old, apparently has moved out of that house and is living with another relative. I just think, why would you even? I couldn't have him in my house, especially if there were other children in there. And are you telling me that over this Christmas period, that stepbrother never met up with his biological sister and the rest of the family? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Because in the end, the judge did rule that he could, the daughter could stay with the stepmother and Anna's father, Anna's biological father, who is the stepfather to his wife's children, even though he's got, you know, I'd be more worried about leaving him as well with a young girl. He's got history of abusing young girls. And there he is, he's got this young girl in his household. So if they weren't worried about what the stepbrother might do, I mean, this girl is dead. I just don't think, as we watch the stepmother being sort of interviewed in the court, I'm not feeling the sort of importance from her of what happened. This girl is dead. Somebody murdered her. Somebody killed her. So the stepmother's saying that they all had a brilliant relationship. You know, they were like the 3 amigos. Anna, her biological brother, and her stepbrother all were sharing that stateroom together because they were like the 3 amigos. They were best friends. and that they were offered somewhere else to stay, which I think was with their grandparents, but they refused, and they wanted all to stay together. Whereas Anna's ex-boyfriend is saying, no, that's not true. She was terrified of this stepbrother because he walked around with a big knife, and she was scared of him, and he went into her room when she was asleep and jumped on top of her, and and he was desperate to go out with her. He was obsessed with her. So who do we believe? I don't know. Who do we believe? When is it going to come out, the truth? I don't know. Did she, were they like the three amigos, or was she terrified of this boy, the boy who's allegedly killed her? And meanwhile, the law enforcement, I think it's the FBI, as I say, that are dealing with it, they're stum, tight-lipped, saying nothing. And the only reason we're getting to know anything about this case is because of the family court and that's running adjacent to it. Now, things we do know are that Anna had no alcohol or drugs in her system, so it has been declared a homicide. Her stepbrother has been declared a suspect. The stepbrother, I don't know whether he had any drugs or alcohol in his system. It's now sort of come out that he has got ADHD and he's supposed to take medication, and there were 2 days, I think, where he didn't take it. One because he fell asleep, and sleeping medication he was supposed to take. There were 2 days he didn't take it while they were on this cruise. One because he fell asleep before his mum got a chance to give it him. And the second time was because his mum fell asleep before she gave it him. Now, I can't see. I mean, what sort of mother are you if your son is... I mean, I don't believe in all these medications, but, a few people have left comments and said, well, this happens in their family and it's necessary for someone with ADHD because otherwise they don't sleep and they can be up all night. So I accept that. So if you were that mother who knew that your son needed this medication, how could you fall asleep before he did? How could you? Or you would make sure you'd leave it with him, at least the tablet with him, and say, look, I'm going to have an early night, make sure you take the tablet, something. But so it seems like he wasn't really supervised properly and at the end of the day, he's 16 years old, and that's sort of that no man's land in between being a child and becoming an adult, isn't it? But he'd be capable of taking a tablet himself as long as he was left it and given instructions to take it or made to take it. I don't know. How could you fall asleep and forget about that? You have got responsibilities as a parent, haven't you? They never end, to be honest. Don't even get any better when they get over 18. You'd still have to remind someone, I think, even a young teenager, because they just don't necessarily think about things like you do. Anyway, he did it. So it's coming out now that he didn't take his medication on 2 evenings, one of which was the evening that Anna is believed to have died. So we don't know, we haven't had a timeline from the authorities. We don't know an exact timeline. All we know is Anna went out that evening. She was out with her grandparents, the rest of the family. She was wearing braces, and she said her braces were irritating her. And so she decided to go back to the room. And then it seems like the only person who went into that room afterwards, directly after Anna, was the stepbrother. Then there's reports of the biological brother saying that he heard them fighting inside the room. He heard bangs and he heard... again, these are all unverified because law enforcement has not come out and said anything, have they? Officially, that he heard fighting, banging, crashing. He heard the stepbrother say, shut the F up, or something along those lines. And then he did go into the room later on, and it's thought that he slept in his bed just feet away from where Anna was deceased, had been wrapped in a blanket, covered in life jackets and stuffed under her bed. And then she was found apparently the next morning by like the cleaning crew or by some of the staff from the cruise ship. And another thing that sort of I thought, oh God, how awful, is the father, apparently they all went down to breakfast. They were staying in a room across the hall. They went down to breakfast and wondered why Anna wasn't there. And then they heard an announcement over the ship's tannoy, a medical emergency. And when the room number was mentioned, they realised it was Anna's room that they were talking about. And that's how they found out about it. Just strange, isn't it? But, it is, this whole scenario is just awful, isn't it? So anyway, we know that poor Anna was then taken off the cruise ship deceased. And she didn't get to see Christmas this year, did she, bless her? So let's see what the latest is, which basically is these text messages. Again, they've emerged through the family court. Let's find. We're going to have a look at a law and crime video that talks about them. And these have been released because of the court case. As I say, if it wasn't for the court case that's going on, we literally would know nothing, would we, about this whole sorry sort of situation. We just would know nothing. Okay, let me just see who I've missed while I've been holding forth. Hey, Tracy. So I'm just laughing at my own waffle, just too much waffling. Oh, I'm going dizzy scrolling down. Hey, Princess, I hope you're well. I know, yeah, you've had a bad year, bless. I hope you're going to have a better year next year, hey? Ah, it's good to see you back again, Princess. Life is very challenging, isn't it? Most of the time. But anyway, it's good to see you here anyway and chatting. Let's have a look at this then.
Strangled to death aboard a Carnival cruise ship. Dozens of pages of text messages have been released that show what Anna Kepner's stepmom told her ex-husband about what happened aboard the ship.
Yeah, now this is the family. So it's a blended family, There's Anna, that's her. I don't know why her father's face has been blocked out. There's her stepmom. And then these are the children, like either between them or from each other, etc. Poor Anna. So Anna's the oldest. And this boy here, now I think his name's Tim. But anyway, we're not supposed to talk about him because he's only 16. Also, he's not actually been charged yet. This is the brother who supposedly is obsessed with Anna, but we don't have any proof of that yet. This is just rumors that are flying around.
And what the alleged suspect said about it. What these new messages show, the couple said about things needing to be, quote, hush, hush, as the...
So we can see with Anna, she's just a typical teenage girl. She was doing TikToks. She was taking selfies, little videos, just what teenage girls do all over the world, don't they? Every day, every single, this is like just completely normal, bless her.
Investigation was just beginning. Also, we are reporting.
And look, she's a beautiful girl, but you can see that she was becoming a woman. And I just feel with Anna, she would have got more and more beautiful as time went on, because she you know, she just did. She's a pretty girl, and she had all these plans, you know, to join the military, to become a K-9 officer, etc. Lots of plans that she never got a chance to materialize.
Learning more about where that suspect is right now as the FBI continues to investigate a potential murder on the high seas. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Now, they spend a lot of time in this video going through everything that I've just gone through to show you. I'm not going to play all of that again because, you know, some of it, I want to show you the photos and things. Oh, let's go with it. Let's go with it. I've not got anywhere to be of you.
It has been nearly 2 months since Anna Kepner was found dead, reportedly in her stateroom aboard a cruise ship that she boarded less than a week earlier with her family. The FBI hasn't said much about Anna Kepner's body being taken off of the ship on November 8th in the investigation into what happened. At the time of this recording, there have not been any arrests in this case. Now, a lot of the information that we do have in this case, it's come from a separate custody case that involves Anna Kepner's stepmom and her ex-husband. And we now just got perhaps our largest drop of information yet about what happened aboard the ship and information that we do have.
Right. So let me just. So this is Anna's, not Anna's biological father. This is the biological father of the stepbrother that has allegedly killed Anna.
Information yet about what happened aboard the ship, and more specifically, what happened right after the 18-year-old cheerleader was found dead in her stateroom in early November aboard the Carnival cruise ship, the Horizon, because dozens of pages of text messages were just reportedly made public. And these are text messages that Anna Kepner's stepmom, who's named Chantel, and her ex-husband sent back and forth after Anna Kepner was found dead. Now, Chantel Kepner previously was known as Chantel Hudson. She used to be married to a man named Thomas Hudson, and they have been in a custody case for more than a year. And there's a lot of messages that were sent that are unrelated to Anna, unrelated to the cruise, but there are some that were sent in the days after Anna's body was found aboard the ship and the FBI started to investigate. We do want to note, because her death happened.
You know what, I'll tell you, so what just stuns me is this girl. She went on holiday with all her family. Weren't there 11 of her, including her? There's her grandma, her granddad, her biological dad, her stepmom, the other children, her biological brother, her stepbrother. Oh, she went on holiday with all these people on a ship with thousands of people on it, and she was not safe. Terrible, isn't it? Absolutely terrible that you could not be safe on a great big cruise ship like that and on holiday with all those members of your family.
Happened on board a cruise ship. It's federal jurisdiction, which is why the FBI is involved. Now, let me show you how these text messages factor into this case, because if you've been following this story with us, you know this has been going on for almost 2 months at this point. We know that the final days of Anna Kepner's life are believed, according to family members, to have played out something like this. You have Kepner, her biological dad, who's named Chris, then her stepmom, Chantel, Anna Kepner's biological grandparents and her siblings, as well as her step-siblings, this blended family. They all took a cruise together that launched out of Miami. It was called the Carnival Horizon. We're talking about one of these massive floating cities, nearly 4,000 passengers, 15 decks, and it was a 6-day cruise. They made multiple stops in the Caribbean before the ship returned to South Florida. Now, Kepner was a varsity cheerleader from Titusville, Florida, which is about 3 hours north of Miami. She was planning to graduate in the spring. Her family said that she actually planned to join the military, the Navy, after graduation.
Yeah, I'm going to fast forward it actually because I've just been through all that. I don't want to repeat. Let's get to the text messages. Oh, let's watch your stepmother in court.
And did any of the children go with you on the cruise? Did you reach out to Mr. Hudson to request that he agree to passports for the children?
I reached out to him to inform him of my itinerary to take the children on a cruise and did ask for the passports, but they weren't needed in this cruise.
And Mr. Hudson actually refused to cooperate with obtaining passports, correct?
To sign for the passports, yes.
You said passports weren't necessary, so they weren't obtained.
Correct.
As far as the minor children, what were the sleeping arrangements on this cruise?
Was in my room with my husband and his 9-year-old daughter, and then shared a room with his stepsister and stepbrother. The room was directly across from ours.
What was the stepsister's name?
Anna Kepner,
And what was the stepbrother's name? And how old is
14,
and how old was Anna?
18.
Now, who made the decision to have these?
Now, I don't know how old Shona is. But is it Shona? She looks quite young, doesn't she? But, we know that Anna's dad, he likes the younger ones. I mean, she's not that young, obviously. She's not a teenager. But, yeah, I'd be more worried about having him in my house while I've got young daughters, to be honest. Knowing his history would be quite worrying, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's get to the text messages, because that is the new information, but which of course is right at the end of this video.
Found Chantel allegedly reached out to her ex-husband about needing to talk to him as soon as possible about what she called an emergency. Now, here are some of the text messages.
An emergency.
These are from November 8th, and this is related to Thomas, the ex-husband, wanting to take their shared daughter as the investigation was just beginning. So here's the text.
So you can imagine that father, Anna's father, not Anna's father, the stepson's, oh God, it's so confusing, this case. So it's his son, it's his biological son that's alleged to have killed Anna, but he lives, of course, in his or did live in his mother's house with his sister, with his biological sister, who is also this man's daughter. So you could imagine, even though it's his own son, he's not going to want his daughter around her. If it turns out that this boy is accused of killing his stepsister, you wouldn't want him in the same house as his biological sister, would you? Another young girl. Even if in the end it's proven that he's innocent. But during the investigation, while you didn't know, the first thing you'd want to do is get your daughter out of there, whether it's your biological son or not. You want to keep your daughter safe.
From Chantel, quote, I really do appreciate it, and I'm not trying to be in any which way. I just think it'll be more traumatizing for her to be removed as of right now. She doesn't know anything about the stepbrother. The only thing I told her is that he was having a hard time coping with losing Anna, so he's getting checked out by the hospital. And
so he's just gone straight in there and said, look, give me my daughter. And she said, oh no, I just think it'd be more traumatizing for her to be removed as of right now, as she doesn't know anything about the stepbrother. The only thing I told her is that he was having a hard time coping with losing Anna, so he's getting checked out by the hospital. Oh, you just want her a million miles away from that boy. Even if he's been moved out and he's living with another relative, I just don't believe for a minute that they haven't had contact over Christmas. I just don't believe it. Unless he's in hospital and maybe he's been sectioned. I don't know. We don't know. Though it's said that he's staying with another family member. Also, personally, I don't believe, you know, and I might be wrong or right. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm right, but because everybody has their own opinion, I don't believe in lying to children either. Like to tell him something. I mean, I don't know how you would say that he is being accused of actually killing her. But I think maybe you'd be saying, well, everybody's been investigated, or so. I don't know, because when she finds out, and she will find out one day that her brother is being accused or under suspicion. Maybe as she gets older, that he's actually been convicted of it by then. Maybe it would be more traumatizing to take her out of her normal routine and send her to her dad's. I don't know. Let me know what you think. What do you think? Do you think that the sister, the biological sister, should still be with? See, the other thing I've problems with is Chris, the father. So Chantel is married to a convicted PDF. You know, he's known for liking young girls, and in her household is her daughter. That would be the main reason I would want her out of that house. In fact, now I'm talking, I know exactly what I think should. Her father, that girl's father, needs to get her away from that house as soon as possible. First of all, Chantel hasn't proven to be the most sort of observant mother, has she? She didn't give her son his medication that he's supposed to be taking, that she's supposed to remind him of. And she's so cold, and she's like in Chris's thrall, isn't she? She'd do anything. We've seen these mothers before. She cares more about Chris than she cares about her own daughter. She'll put her daughter into a household like that where she is living with a man with a penchant for young girls, a proven. You know, he's been arrested for it. He married his babysitter as soon as she got to 18, even though he was a grown man. You know, so yeah, I would say no. Get that girl out of there. Not only because of the and the stepbrother who's accused of killing her, but more because of her father.
Thomas responds, okay, well, I'm not trying to push it, but the offer is there if when you find more out and have to handle things. Then Chantel says, when we have to cross that bridge, you and I will come up with a way to tell her and Andrew. Now, Thomas says okay to that. Chantel says, I will call you tomorrow as soon as I hear.
So it seems like he's quite he's not angry in these messages, is he? He could be angry, really. But yeah, God, get that girl out of there, because I'll tell you what, that Chris is not someone I'd want a young girl around. Would you want your daughter around him?
Anything, and Thomas says, okay. So they continue talking the next day, November 9th. This is after Anna's body has been taken off of the cruise ship. The ship arrived back in Miami on the 8th, and we're talking 2 days now after Anna's body was found. And here's what Chantel's ex-husband starts to say about the suspect in the case, Anna's stepbrother. Thomas says, quote, are you able to talk or see the stepbrother? We are not going to put his name out there because he hasn't been charged and he is a minor. Now, Chantel says, I'm waiting on the FBI and also the doctor to call me as soon as I know something. I promise you that I won't. I will call you. Chantel then says something like, quote, stupid, talk to text. Chantel says, I promise you as soon as I get a call, but you are going to be the first person I call. Chantel then says, as soon as I know anything, you will be the only one I will be calling. Thomas says, I get that, but I mean, have you talked to the stepbrother while he's at the facility? Chantel says, I was able to talk to him last night for under 2 minutes briefly. He just keeps repeating over and over. He can't remember anything.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, now is he at a facility or is he at a relative's house? This is confusing, isn't it? So is he at a facility? Or is that why he hasn't been charged yet? Maybe they're assessing his mental state. But then it's been said that he's with a relative. So, we don't know. We just don't know the truth of everything. But yeah, Chantal saying, I was able to talk to him last night for under 2 minutes briefly. He just keeps repeating over and over he can't remember anything. No, I haven't heard Anna's name mentioned so far in these texts. That doesn't mean to say they didn't mention her. But I would like to hear somebody say somewhere along the line, how awful what's happened to Anna. Poor Anna, what she must have gone through. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. It's all about this boy and protecting him.
Chantel says, I don't even know if they were allowed to let me talk to him or not. The nurse was very nice and let me talk to him just to tell him that you and I love him. Thomas.
Look, now I'm sure they do love him. He is their son, whatever he's done. But it's like, look, Thomas says, I just want him to know that he isn't just dead to everyone. Regardless of everything at the moment, he needs his parents. It reminds me a bit of Stephen Stearns' parents, but this lad, he is younger. I mean, he is a child at the end of the day. He needs his parents. I know you know that. I would just like to have a chance to talk to him as soon as possible. Now, I don't know what they're saying to him, if they've spoke to him since or whatever, but I think, what they should be saying is tell the truth about what happened. I think this boy, he probably was, him and Anna were probably just, I say him and Anna, I think he was bullying Anna. He was, probably roughhousing with her and just exerting his bloody adolescent strength on her and this, that and the other. He probably did have an obsession with her and he went too far. And I do think that's what happened. That's probably what the defence is going to be. Or it could be on the grounds of temporary insanity, or they're going to bring up this thing about him not taking his medication, maybe. I do think it was an accident. I don't believe he would have deliberately done it on a cruise ship. Now, I'm not saying that at a time in the future he might not have killed Anna deliberately or whatever with premeditation. Who knows? But I don't believe in this case. You'd have to be pretty daft, unless he is a complete thicko or something who thought, where would he have thought he was going to put the body? Did he think he was going to push her off the edge the next day? Or, who knows? Anyway, these are things that will come out in time. But I do think I wish they would concentrate more on the actual victim here. He is not the victim. He is not the victim. If he's guilty, of something, he's the perpetrator. And although, I know that they're his parents, just the same with Stephen Stearns, with his parents. You have to love your child no matter what, but you also can ask them to do the right thing. Same with Chris Watts. All these people where the parents seem to think their little Johnny couldn't possibly do anything wrong, or Janie. They could, because probably everyone's capable of it one way or another. And you have to... doesn't mean to say you're not supporting them by making them face up to what they've done. You still love them. You can still love them. You can still support them. You can still do whatever you can for them. But I think you've got to face up to what they've probably done.
It says, quote, I just want him to know that he isn't just dead to everyone. Regardless of everything at the moment, he needs his parents. I know you know that. I just would like to have a chance to talk to him as soon as possible. Chantel says, we, Chris, who is Anna's biological dad, and his parents told him yesterday before they took him, we told him no matter what, you and us are with him. He isn't alone. Then Thomas says, oh.
Yeah, Chris, Anna's biological father, his parents, Anna's biological grandparents, haven't heard any, where we told him no matter what, you are also with him, he isn't alone. Well, I'm sorry, but if that was my biological child, boy or girl, that somebody else said murdered who wasn't my biological, wasn't my blood, my family, don't think I'd be saying that. No matter what. No matter what. That, so what, even if he premeditated it and killed her deliberately, no matter what, he isn't alone. Come on. As far as Anna's biological family are concerned, he is alone. As far as I'd be concerned, I'd be like, this is what I mean about this family. I feel like Anna has not been taken into consideration enough. So then Thomas said, okay, I know everything is supposed to be hush hush for now, but I've seen it still getting out with posts and comments between Facebook, TikTok and stuff. I just want to make sure until things are certain he doesn't get any unnecessary comments towards him. Oh, didn't.
Okay, I know everything is supposed to be hush hush for now, but I've seen that it is still getting out with posts and comments between Facebook, TikTok and stuff. I just want to make sure until things are certain that he doesn't get any unnecessary comments towards him. And Chantel says nobody knows anything about him. He is a minor and has been kept completely out of it. We have not said anything to anybody, and we are going to try our best to keep it completely out. He is a minor, so his name shouldn't be anywhere. And when we talk to the FBI again, we will reiterate that we do not want his name out there. And everything that's been posted on TikTok and social media, nobody knows anything, and everybody's just speculating. We know what I told you last night, and we'll know exactly more when the autopsy is done. Once we get the autopsy today, depending on what it says, depend on whether he's booked on these charges. And
okay, so it obviously was early days. Maybe they didn't wonder how they feel now that they know that Anna probably died from a chokehold. Do they feel any different now? I mean, the thing is, this boy is not under suspicion for, shoplifting or even robbery or, credit card theft or even drug running. This is murder. This is murder. And not only that, murder of someone in their family. This is why I don't understand this attitude. I would perfectly understand this if it was shoplifting or some, possession of marijuana or, some of the sort of things that teenagers get involved in, don't they? Even more serious things like maybe getting in a big fight or, anything except murdering another family member, a poor young girl. The way they're talking about it is it's not that important or it's not that serious. It's horrible. It's horrible the way they're talking about this whole thing. This girl is dead. Not sort of ill, not, it's not just got black eye or that's bad enough. But you know what I mean? They're talking about red rum here as if it's just like, oh, well, he's a minor. We're trying to keep it quiet. Yeah, whatever. They should be there saying to him, tell us what happened.
Quote. So clearly the family there, perhaps not surprisingly, expecting charges in this case. And we're still waiting to hear from the FBI if and when that happens. Now, as far as where the boy has been since the cruise, the Daily Mail claims they found him at a family home in rural Florida, and he was actually selling firewood on the side of the road.
Oh, what?
A reporter apparently approached him and asked him about the death of Anna Kepner, and the 16-year-old boy reportedly said, quote, "I'd rather not talk." He then appeared to lower his hat over his face and walked away. Now, even though Chantel seems to think that her son's name would not be put out into the public, you search social media and it certainly has been put out.
Right. Okay. That's about the end of that anyway. So that's interesting. Let's have a look for that article by the Daily Mail. You know, and whatever we think about the Daily Mail, they do get the scoops, don't they? I mean, at the end of the day, they do. I haven't seen that article. Selling firewood at the side of the street. What? So he's out there in public. Oh my goodness. Right, let's have a look. Now, could you imagine if you found out he was living near you? Now, I know he's not been convicted yet, but for God's sake. So, what have we got? Babyface stepbrother considered a suspect in Anna Kepner's cruise ship murder breaks cover as the FBI weighs the charges. So he can be seen for the first time in exclusive Daily Mail photos. He's been laying low at a relative's home as federal authorities weigh charges in Anna's alleged November the 7th asphyxiation aboard the Carnival Horizon. His whereabouts have remained a closely guarded secret in the 5 weeks since the cheerleader's body was found wrapped in a blanket and stuffed under a bed in the cabin she shared with her brother and sibling. But the Daily Mail located the skinny blonde-haired teen this week to his rural Florida hideaway, where he emerged from seclusion Friday to sell firewood from a roadside stand, wearing a baseball cap, black pants and a zip-up sweater. The young entrepreneur, God, they do talk a load of crap, don't they, though? The young entrepreneur uploaded logs from a $15,000 Polaris off-road buggy to sell to passing motorists in $5 bundles. Oh, my God. So, you know, if you live out that way, you might have bought some firewood off him. He was doing, is that even legal to do that? Sell firewood at the side of the road without a license or whatever? He was doing brisk business during the unusually cold weather, but froze when the Daily Mail pulled him over to quiz him over 18-year-old Anna's death. They do track people down, don't they? I mean, God, remember when they went to Gus Lamont's Gmail's home and had a gun brandished at them? You know, anyway. I'd rather not talk, the boy said nervously, tugging the brim of his cap lower to obscure his face. He accepted a business card to pass along to an adult and then sped off down his relative's dirt driveway without another word. He's just carrying on his life. No, Anna's dead. And he's just carrying on his life. Whatever. So he's not in a facility then. So his identity has been withheld because he's a minor and has not been formally charged. And he was spotted selling firewood from a roadside stand near a relative's home on December the 12th. Dear me. Meanwhile, Anna was taken off that cruise ship in a body bag. So nobody got in contact, but 2 police cruisers arrived 30 minutes later to monitor the Central Florida property surrounded by wetlands and dense woodland. The police should be arresting him, not protecting him, a source close to Anna's grieving family told the Daily Mail. We're peed that is walking around free and living his life. What is taking the FBI so long to file charges? We can't understand it. So, yeah, what is taking them so long? Says they're waiting on testing results. We're not sure what the FBI are going to do, whether he'll be charged federally or if the case will be turned over to the state. Oh, there he is. In his little buggy, having a great time selling his firewood, earning a bit of money. Oh my God. Now, if I was Anna's family, I'd be fuming. I mean, I do believe probably he did not do it on purpose, perhaps, but he would purposefully was bullying her. I do believe that. So they decided to remove him from their blended household in Titusville, Florida, and place him with a trustworthy relative. God, that relative, I wouldn't have him under my roof, that's for sure. You'd keep your door locked, wouldn't you? The relative's name is redacted in a signed affidavit which forbids Chantal and Thomas from revealing their son's whereabouts to anyone other than law enforcement, and neither parent can remove him without the other's written agreement. There's Anna, straight A student, pronounced dead at 11:17, which was probably the time she was found. That won't have been when she died. On November the 7th, 2025, while the Carnival Horizon was en route from Mexico to Florida. So we've got here. So here's the PDF guy. We've got Sean. He's the guy who likes the young girls. I'd get him out of my house if I had young kids in it. Anna's father, Christopher, he was supposed to have been subpoenaed to speak, but he seemed to get away with it. Poor Anna. So that's her with him, I think, isn't it? That's her with the stepfather, stepson. So you can see that although he's only 16, he's a lot bigger than Anna. They might describe him as skinny, but look how petite Anna is. You know, maybe he didn't mean to do it, but, you know, still needs to come clean about what happened. Poor Anna. Just about celebrated her 18th birthday. She never got to celebrate a 19th birthday. So, well, a lot more to come out, of course, in this case. Just can't believe this boy is walking around free. Get him charged. Get him charged one way or another and get some justice for this girl. Hey, very sad. Yeah, Tracy, very sad. Very, very sad. Now, probably the law enforcement are thinking, well, he's not a threat to anyone else. I think he is a threat to, you know, I think he is a threat. He'd certainly be well, they have removed him from, he's not allowed to be in the house with his sister. I wouldn't allow him near any young girls. But then I wouldn't allow Chris and his biological father. I wouldn't allow him around my girls if I had young girls. You know, he's a PDF. What a family. What a family. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go now to, we're going to talk about little Melodee. This is another family tragedy, isn't it, really? I mean, this is sort of, they say you're more at risk from your own family than you are from strangers. Most red rooms happen in the home or because of domestic circumstances, etc. This is a terribly, terribly tragic case that for a couple of months we all hoped that Melodee would be found alive. I really did think she would. I mean, she's only 9 years old. She sort of disappeared. It was realised that she hadn't been at school. Nobody had seen her. And her mum, I mean, I think this is what a lot of people can't believe about this case. As we were talking about before, you know, murder's bad enough, especially a little beautiful girl like this. In fact, I've got a colour photo of her somewhere. I'm going to bring that up. But then the thought that she was actually allegedly killed by her own mother, shot execution style. Just, you just can't get your head around it, can you? As I was saying earlier, it's that sort of double deviant thing. It's bad enough to murder a child, but it's even worse when it's their own mother that has done it. I mean, it's unbelievable. People, and this, when this all first came out, I really thought that Melodee would turn up. I can't find the colour photo. I've got one somewhere, downloaded one somewhere, but it's disappeared. It doesn't matter. You can still see how beautiful Melodee is, whether it's a colour photo or not. It just seems to have disappeared from my gallery, but never mind. Here she is. I thought something bad had happened to her, in the sense had her mum Ashlee Buzzard taken her off and sold her to someone, or given her to someone, or I didn't think it was a good thing that had happened to Melodee in that sense. But I really did think she was alive, or I thought she might have given her to a relative, because there was talk, that social services were coming for Melodee and were going to take her off Ashlee, because Ashlee's got all this history of mental health issues. So I can honestly say that I did think, I really never thought this girl a bit, but I should have known better, because in other cases that happen, these children normally are found deceased, aren't they? So it's just that you can't believe it, can you? You can't imagine someone doing it. How did she get, she took this girl on this massive road trip, and then on the way back in Utah, on the way back to where they lived, she just stopped by the side of the road, got her out of the car, allegedly, and shot her twice in the head, like an execution style. I think you just can't get your head around that at all, can you? Anyway, let me put a couple of windows down. Covered that. Oh, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? So the latest in this case is that Ashlee, the mother, has pled not guilty. When she appeared in court, she pled not guilty. So I don't know how that's going to go for her. The other news is the death table. The death penalty is not on the table. And now a lot of people are complaining about this, because apparently what's happened is the local police will not give up this case. So it's not being dealt with federally. It's not being dealt with by the FBI. And a lot of people are critical of that, because they think it should be dealt with by the FBI. And if it was dealt with by the FBI, it might be more likely that the death penalty would have been on the table. Anyway, the death penalty is not on the table. She's pleading not guilty. We don't know what the grounds are or whatever. There's obviously a lot to come out as time goes on. How can she plead not guilty? There's overwhelming evidence against this woman. Overwhelming evidence. But no, she's not guilty, according to her. Let's have a look. I'm going to go accept cookies. So this was her being arrested. Let me put it on full. Yeah, how's she going to get, how's she pleading not guilty? So not only, she was seen with Melodee sort of going around, she hired the car, they were wearing wigs. Melodee was found just discarded at the side of the road like a piece of trash. There were gunshot cartridges there that came from this horrible woman's gun. She had one of those cartridges. She had a spent one at home, and she had an unspent one in her car. And she's saying she's not guilty. So not sure how that's going to work. But anyway, there you go. Let's have a look what happened.
Of Melodee Buzzard was just arraigned in court. Ashlee Buzzard was charged with first-degree murder in connection with the death of her 9-year-old daughter after the girl's body was found in a rural part of Utah more than 2 months after she disappeared. Authorities believe Melodee was killed on October 9th during a multi-day road trip. She took...
Look at that little girl, her little smile, that beautiful hair. Do you know, I mean, we're going to go through the different reasons that psychologists say that mothers commit crimes like this. But do you know, I think there's a jealousy there as well. Do you know, I think what people forget, a lot of mothers are jealous of their daughters, you know, because if the mother has always relied on, I don't know, her looks and sex to get her own way in life, you know, and then she has a daughter, like you think that, God, I'd love to have a daughter, but, you know, you think, would, you know, when it gets to a certain point as the little girl's getting older, I don't know, do they get jealous of them because they're getting older, the mother's getting older and maybe losing her charm a bit, and then men maybe start looking, I mean, she's only 9, but, you know, some men, that doesn't matter, does it? But is there like a jealousy? Is she jealous of everything that Melodee had in front of her and she realised she'd made a total cock up of her life? And was she looking and thinking, oh, you know, Melodee had all this future in front of her and Ashlee didn't, because she'd become a drug addict, hadn't she, and this, that and the other, you know, totally buggered up her life. Well, and to be fair, she lost her partner, she lost Melodee's dad, and I'm sure that had a traumatic effect on her in a motorcycle accident. But yeah, just something of it. I think is jealousy. There is jealousy sometimes. Probably the same with men and their sons. I don't know. You know, just like, I think you get sort of two, you know, they can either look at their daughters or dads look at their sons and think, oh, I'm proud of them, and, you know, they're like chip off the old block and they're gonna, you know, and mothers want the best for their daughters. And then also I do think some mothers and fathers, they want to live their lives through their children instead of letting their children be themselves. They feel like their children owe them something. You know, at the end of the day, when you have a child, that is a totally selfish thing to do. You know, you have a child and you have to live with the good and the bad that comes out of it because you chose to have the child. The child did not choose to be born. You know, at the end of the day, it didn't. You can't expect them to be grateful because you gave birth to them. You know, that's, you know, you gave birth to them or you decided to have a child, father or mother, because you wanted a child. And then when they start doing things that maybe you're not happy with, because you know, children don't do what you want them to do. They do what they're their own people, they're individuals. And sometimes I think parents get we all get a bit annoyed about it, but we don't all go take our children out to a desert and shoot them execution style in the head. But yeah, it's just something that occurred to me. Was there a bit of jealousy here with this woman?
She took with her mother, which stretched as far east as Nebraska. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo and NBC News legal analyst Misty Maris. Misty, I'll start with you here. Walk us through what local authorities are saying. I understand they say there's significant evidence against Ashlee Buzzard.
Yes, so talking about significant evidence, and interestingly, this case is charged as a premeditated murder. So we're talking about planning and preparation, which is what local authorities have said in a press conference, that they have significant evidence to show that Ashlee Buzzard engaged in this conduct, killed Melodee Buzzard in a premeditated fashion. We also know that there are special circumstances to these first-degree murder charges. Lying in wait and discharge of a firearm causing death. Lying in wait is generally going to mean the gunshot came from behind. Melodee's remains were found at the beginning of December, and it took law enforcement some time to make connections of the evidence to link it back to Ashlee. And now we see she was in court today for arraignment, pleading not guilty to first-degree murder charges.
And to that end, Stephen, I want to bring you in, walk us through this plea and what we heard out of court today.
Yeah, just such a tough case. Seeing pictures of young Melodee here and then hearing what is accused, what her mother is accused of. We did hear from Misty there, the arraignment just wrapped up with Ashlee pleading not guilty to first-degree murder. And our producer in the courtroom described the audience there, the people in the courtroom, as groaning or gasping whenever.
Do you imagine? So yeah, she this piece of shit mother declaring not guilty, and the audience or the people that were attending the court gasping with disbelief. How can you plead not guilty? Though, I mean, I do think all murders, they're told by their lawyers to plead not guilty from the beginning. And then eventually they plead guilty when they get the disclosure and see, what the evidence is and realise there's just no way you get. Then they go for a plea deal, don't they? So I think this is a tactic, to be honest. Plead not guilty initially, and then as time goes on, they've got like a plea deal, because really, I suppose if you think about it, if they pled guilty right from the start, they'd have no bargaining chip later down the road, would they? They'd be like, oh, well, you've already pled guilty, so, death penalty, So I think this is a tactic that they're sort of advised to do, by their solicitors, etc. I really, really do think that. And then, later down the line, when all the evidence comes out and she gets a chance to do a plea deal. But yeah, that's the other thing. Just saying, David, what you said there. It is a death penalty state, but these law enforcement, they're not going for the death penalty. And it's been criticised a lot because they're not going for it. And it is the local law enforcement that are taking this case on. But a lot of people think it should be the FBI, and then be more likely to get death penalty request.
That plea was made of not guilty, in part because so many people in that community feel directly connected to this, because it started with a missing persons case back in October. Melodee's school reported her missing because she had excessive absences. And then police started this search, and the community joined in, wanting to find this.
Yeah, and thank God for that school, because, it's ironic. So not even Melodee's extended family, like her grandma, etc., or her father's, her grandma, and nobody from Melodee's family, because Ashlee had isolated this poor girl from the family. Nobody declared her missing, and luckily, thank God for the school, took action, as they should. When a child, just doesn't turn up at school like for ages, you should take action, of course. Do something's just come to me there, totally going on to another tangent. Well, it's the same thing, but another case. In the Gus Lamont case, this beautiful little boy that's disappeared in Australia, that there's been no updates over Christmas. I don't know how that's been for Gus's parents, grandparents, just awful to be missing a child over Christmas. And of course, he's got a younger brother, so they're going to have to do something with Christmas, I suppose. But it's just occurred to me, when was Gus reported missing? Because Gus, the last time that we know that Gus was seen was when this photo was taken, which was for preschool, wasn't it? He's 4 years old. He was due to go to preschool. And this photo was taken, and we don't know when he was seen after that, apart from by the family. And then he mysteriously disappeared. Was it just before he was due to start school? Is it because the school starts saying, you know, where's Gus? He hasn't, you know, you enrolled him in school and he hadn't turned up. Was there some questions asked there? Just something that just occurred to me then when I was talking about it. I don't know that that's the truth. It just literally something that occurred to me as I was talking about it, because you know, I don't know what's happened to Gus. You know, he supposedly just wandered off in the middle of the sheep station in Yunta in Australia. There 1 minute, half an hour later, for some reason, he was left unattended for 30 minutes. I mean, the more you think about that, who leaves a 4-year-old unattended for 30 minutes? You know, even in the house, you've got to watch them every minute. The only time you can relax when you've got a 4-year-old is when they're asleep. And even then you have to listen out for them. You know, they're little buggers, you know, they get into mischief. They get into trouble. You can't leave them unattended. You know, sometimes I think about that and I think, how can Gus be? Anyway, we're not here to talk about Gus, so I'm not going to talk about him, but it just occurred to me then as I was saying that. So let's just see the rest of this. Oh, so what I was saying is, yeah, thank God the school reported her missing, because nobody else did from the family.
Young girl, and sadly, she was found earlier this month in rural Utah, dead from what appears to be a shotgun wound to the head. The FBI working to help use DNA to confirm her identity. Just each step of the way, each new detail seems more horrifying than the last. And that would help explain the groans that were heard in the courtroom today.
And to the point of location, Stephen, right, you mentioned she was found in Utah. Misty, why exactly is this trial happening in California?
So this is actually very unusual. You're usually going to see murder charges brought in the state where the authorities believe the murder occurred, and authorities have said that they believe it happened sometime between traveling through the Colorado-Utah border, and ultimately the body was found in Utah. The charges are brought in California because what the authorities have said is that they have significant evidence of that premeditation, and all of that occurred in California, making that the proper jurisdiction for these charges. So this is going to be a unique case on that fact alone. And also when you're talking about evidence that formulates premeditation, that all has happened in California and this multi-state search for evidence, this is going to be a little more complicated than it seems on its face.
All right, Misty Maris, Stephen Romo with that breaking news. Thanks so much.
Tonight, after life-saving rescue.
So I just wanted to show you that update. So she's pled not guilty. And, oh, where's my, oh, lost my picture, sorry. She's pled not guilty. And the death penalty at this point is not being sought. So if you know, tomorrow she was found guilty, it would be life without parole, not the death penalty, because the local law enforcement is dealing with it as opposed to the FBI, apparently. So we'll see. As time goes on, will that change? You know, there's a long way to go in this case, isn't there? So the other thing then that I just wanted to talk about with regards to this case is, you know, this is Filicide. If she is found guilty, when a parent is accused of killing a child, that is Filicide. So I just wanted to I looked up on sort of Google, which now is AI, isn't it? Filicide, the deliberate killing of a child by a parent, is a rare but complex crime driven by a variety of intertwined psychological, social, and situational factors. Research, particularly that by forensic psychiatrist Dr. Philip Resnick, has categorized the primary motives into 5 main types. So one of them is altruistic filicide. The parent kills the child out of a belief it's in the child's best interest, often to end real or imagined suffering, or as part of an extended suicide plan. where the parent does not want to leave the child alone in a cruel world. This is the most commonly reported motive in some studies, particularly for mothers who also have depression or psychosis. So quite often, women do suffer, women obviously, it's not men, suffer from postnatal depression. So that's sometimes used as a reason, isn't it, why mothers kill their children. And sometimes, as it says there, they kill themselves and take their children with them, don't they? Sometimes they just kill the children. Other times they kill themselves as well as the children. And I've seen cases like that where there was a case recently which was a married couple actually, and the husband had an illness, and the mother, that's unusual as well, like family annihilation is normally done by men, but this was a mother killed her husband, her children and herself, presumably because their normal family dynamics were coming to an end because the husband was dying. But instead of, looking after her children and doing the right thing, or even if she wanted to go with her husband, leaving her children in someone else's care and giving them a life, she decided, no, we're all going together. Like, it's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible to take anyone's life, because you're taking any choice whatsoever away from them, aren't you? They have no choice in anything. If you take their lives away from them, nobody has the right to take someone else's life. Whoever, I think. That's why I don't believe in the death penalty, because, I don't think even the state have the right to take someone's life, even though it's galling sometimes to think of them still being alive and just, still sucking air and being paid for by the state or whatever. Still think it's not really right to take anyone's life. But anyway, so yeah, there you go. Then acutely psychotic filicide. The killing occurs when a parent is experiencing severe mental illness, such as psychotic breakdown with command hallucinations or delusions, and has no rational motive in a non-psychotic sense. Fatal maltreatment filicide. Death is often the unintended outcome of cumulative child abuse or neglect, which can include shaken baby syndrome or Munchausen syndrome by proxy. So yeah, quite often, parents do get completely, exhausted or exasperated, and maybe they shake their child, which, I think most of us these days, we know that if we do get angry. Of course we do. I mean, we're all human. We do get angry with our children. You'd be a saint, wouldn't you, if you never got angry? But we all know that you don't shake a baby or a child just because of the publicity from it. And that we know what damage that can cause to a child. I mean, the thing is, if you are feeling exasperated and that you can't cope, what you must do is seek help. If you're feeling those feelings coming over you of anger or, or resentment towards your child, for whatever reason, you have to seek help, don't you? And shaking a baby is just a complete no-no. I mean, won't stop them crying anyway, will it really? Anyway, so that's the next one. Then we've got fatal maltreatment. Often that was the one that I just read out. Unwanted child. So the parent views the child as a hindrance to their life, freedom, or new relationships, i.e. the new partner does not want stepchildren, or the parent may seek a benefit like insurance money. Oops. So yeah, there's been lots of cases like that. I think what was her name? Diane Downs was her name. That was definitely the motive for her, wasn't it? Because she had that new boyfriend, or she had that boyfriend who told her he didn't want children, and that's why she did it. And then spouse revenge, Filicide, and I think we saw that with Travis Decker. The parent kills a child specifically to inflict emotional pain on the other parent, often in the context of a separation, infidelity, or custody dispute. I think, I don't know about you, but you'll let me know in comments what you think. I feel like that's the most common one. I think that happens quite a lot. Both men and women do that, don't they? They don't want their child to be brought up with someone else, by someone else. And that again, so this was Travis Decker, wasn't it? He's definitely one of the twonks of the years that have been nominated this year. So then if we take it into separate to females and males, for females, mental illness is very common, often involving depression, psychosis, postpartum disorders, or a history of self-harm, suicide attempts. But with male perpetrators, that is common, but less frequently. It's the primary driver than for mothers, because it often comes along with other issues. Relationship conflicts, often with mothers, it's often linked to emotional distress over a relationship's end, or guilt over inadequate care, sometimes in the context of an abusive partner. And for men, it's often linked to anger, a sense of grievance, loss of control, i.e. custody issues and a history of domestic violence. Socioeconomic stress, frequently associated with social isolation, unemployment, poverty, and being a full-time caregiver for a woman. Yeah, because you know what, often women long for children, men do. I think more women long for children than men. And then of course it's not, it's not when you have children, as lovely as it is in lots of ways, I think when you're desiring of children, you don't realise the hard work that's involved, or the stress, the sleepless nights. And I think sometimes women and men, when the reality kicks in of what it entails, being a parent from word go is hard, isn't it? I think sometimes, and the economic stress particularly, you've always got to be thinking about childcare, even if you've got a good job. So with fathers, it's associated with unemployment, financial hardship, if they lose their jobs, and lack of social support. Now, as far as substance abuse is concerned, it's less common than in fathers, but a factor for some, whereas with fathers, it's more likely to have a history of substance abuse or be intoxicated at the time of the offence. And then history of abuse for a woman, a personal history of childhood physical or sex abuse is a common finding, whereas for men, they often have a history of violent criminal offences and perpetrating intimate partner violence. So it is different, isn't it? Now, this surprised me because, look, children under 4 years old are the highest risk of being victims. And younger children are at greater risk of fatal maltreatment. Imagine, under 4 years old. And in some non-Western contexts, cultural beliefs such as those related to spirit children with disabilities have also been identified as a factor in filicide. Anyway, so I don't know which one Ashlee will come under. Probably a mixture of a few of those, to be honest. And you know, it is this, when I'm just thinking, that made me think then when it was talking about spiritual reasons for children being murdered, like in non-Western. But look at, I think religious. There's a lot of look at the bloody doomsday cult mum, Laurie Vallow. Her children died because, you know, they were ultra religious, weren't they? Her and her horrible partner, Chad. And he said that her children were zombies. They were dark. And, you know, he classified everyone as light or dark. And he said that JJ and Tylee were dark zombies. They'd been, you know, taken over by someone. I mean, I don't believe that Laurie actually believed that personally. I think she used that as an excuse. She now refers to it as a family tragedy, you know, that her 2 children were found buried in her new husband's backyard. One of them had been dismembered and set on fire. Poor Tylee. Just think, what did those kids go through? But this is what I mean. So there's always an excuse. I think you've got to be aware that sometimes parents, men or women, they will use anything as an excuse. Now, what this woman hasn't done, she hasn't murdered, you know, there's a few of those categories that don't apply to her because she hasn't taken her own life, has she? Travis Decker, he took the children, 3 girls, 3 beautiful girls, took them out of this world and then took himself out of this world. And that's a definite revenge thing, isn't it? So instead of just, because he was miserable, instead of just going and taking his own life, he thought he's taking the children with him to make his life suffer for his wife suffer for the rest of her life. You know, it's horrible, isn't it, what these people do? But yeah, interesting as well, because then I think the majority of us, 99.9% of us, would not even be able to imagine hurting any child deliberately. I mean, you know, if you have an accident or whatever, you can't control accidents, but who would imagine hurting any child, especially murdering any child, shooting them in the back of the head, whether it was their child or not? Well, you wouldn't even be able to envisage doing it to anyone, but least of all, a child. You know, so it's sort of like this insanity defense that they often come up with. You sort of think, really, they're all insanity, because anyone would have to be pretty insane, wouldn't they, to do that? But then you've got to prove that you're not only you're insane, but you weren't like of sound mind at the time, because a lot of people who do these things, she undoubtedly premeditated the murder of this beautiful child. I think there's a bit of jealousy there, or she was getting in the way. Again, like all cases, when we're covering them at the beginning like this, there's a lot to come out. You know, was there a man involved, and did he say, oh, you know, I don't want someone who's already got a child? Or was it a case where she tried to traffic her or sell her, and Melodee said, you know, I'm not, you know, kicked off and said she's not doing it and caused a fuss, and so the deal fell through? I mean, why did she make that long trip? There's got to be some sort of trafficking, whether it be drug trafficking or child trafficking. Personally, I think there's got to be some sort of trafficking involved, because why would you go all that distance? Why would you go all that distance in the first place, you know? Sorry, I left the chat for a bit. Hi, Wesley, how are you? Hi, James. Maddie. Which Maddie do you mean? Lots of Maddies. Lots of Maddies. James. Unfortunately, Maddie seems quite a common name for children that are either murdered or disappeared. We've got Madeleine McCann. Do you mean Madeleine Soto? Personally, I don't think Madeleine Soto was filicide at all. That was Stephen Stearns did it. Ah, Maddie McCann. Well, it's always possible. But though, having said that, I mean, in other words, though, do you think they did it on purpose? You know, if the McCanns are guilty, which I don't know because I wasn't there, but, you know, I have my views. There's a lot to answer for there, but they're definitely guilty of neglect. But I don't know if they're guilty of deliberate murder. I don't know if I believe that, but anyway. So there you go. That's the latest there. So this woman, Ashlee Buzzard, she has pled not guilty. As I say, she's probably pled not guilty. You know, even if she was guilty, that's probably advice from the lawyers. And now she's got something to bargain with, hasn't she? As time goes, she's got plea bargain. I hope she doesn't do what Stephen Stearns did. I'm going to do a video soon about Madeleine Soto because I just want to have one last word about that case. Because I feel like, you know, Stephen Stearns coming out and pleading no contest. Although, you know, it's justice for Maddie in one way because, you know, he's in prison and he's never coming out, and that's good. Just, he should have been made to say what he did. Drives me mad that he's got away with that. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe one day he will find. We don't know what happened. He's not even admitted. You know, so not only he's not saying that he didn't murder Madeleine Soto, this is. He's not even saying what happened. You know, he's not saying anything. You know, so nobody knows still what happened that night. Did he, you know, go off and come back and she'd taken too many? Oh, you know what I mean? We've got no answers. So anyway, that's what he's done. Will she do this, Ashlee? Plead no contest. And just, you know, she's going to get life without parole. But personally, as a person who doesn't agree in the death penalty, I think if you ever had someone who deserved the death penalty, it's this mother who's taken her daughter out and executed her, and then took a cartridge home almost as a memento. Yeah, just it's horrible. Okay, so I wanted to give you an update. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back. I'll definitely be back New Year's Eve with the twonk of the year. Gosh, it's only a couple of days away. What date? So it's 28th today. It's a Sunday. 29th is a Monday. 30th is a Tuesday. So on Wednesday, I will definitely be doing a live for twonk of the year. And I'll be back before then, I'm sure, with videos maybe about any updates that come through. Take care of yourselves because you are the most important person. Even more, apart from your kids, of course, but your kids are important. But the thing is, you are still the most important person because if anything goes wrong with you, you can't look after your kids. This is why I always say this. Because I think quite often we don't look after ourselves. We all think about other people. But sometimes you are the person that's holding that person together. So you have to think about yourself because if you don't look after yourself, well, who's going to look after them? So you've got to be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. For us, you know, put your feet up when you need to. You know, have a nice thing to eat or treat yourself. Don't, you know, it's nice to treat other people. It feels good, but sometimes you need to treat yourself as well, don't you? And just sort of think about your own welfare so that you can look after everybody else. Okay, so I'll see you soon in the next video. But until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.
street. You're so bold. Your YouTube world is the purest gold. With every